Hello, fellow RoboCapitalists. Hope you are well. Boy, oh boy, we got a lot to talk about. It is the Jerry Springer Show in Washington, D.C., or in Camp MAGA, as we might say. What is happening? Some of you are probably asking. I'm glad you asked. Well, Elon Musk just accused Trump of being in the Epstein files. For starters, oh boy, it is. There you go. Steve-O says it's just like watching WWF. Oh my gosh, it is. This is total. I mean, it's so entertaining, but man, it's pathetic. Isn't it sad that our politics and our leaders in the United States, if you will, have devolved to this level? But let's get right into the nitty gritty here. And then more importantly, let's discuss how this could impact the United States economy. Josh, go ahead and throw up my Twitter feed. I've been posting as I've seen. Can you blow that up, buddy? Or just, can you increase? Well, that's okay. Actually, you know what, Josh? Pull up mine. I think it's easier if I just go over to this.
I'm on yours right now.
Yeah, so that's basically what's happening in Camp Trump right now, or in MAGA. And I posted this, and this is before Musk came out and accused Trump of being in the Epstein files. And I mean, there's so much psychology going on here. And I'm not saying that everyone in the MAGA camp was just kind of saw Trump as like a cult-like figure, but there was a lot of people that did. And no matter what Trump did, it was 5D chess, it was art of the deal. He's just way ahead of everyone else. And no matter what he says, we've got to get behind him. You know, principles be damned. But it was the same thing for Musk, right? He's part of Doge and he wants to reduce the deficits and all the things that the sound money guys and gals talk about. And we want to reduce government spending and all these things. And now they're on the same team. And this is just incredible. It's a match made in heaven. And then the honeymoon not only ends, it comes to a tragic end. And the divorce, holy cow, it escalated quickly, didn't it? It went from them being good buddies, like BFFs, right? Like bro BFFs, to all of a sudden, now they're just really slinging the mud. So, you know, earlier in the day, it was just, Josh, I'm going to shoot over to, this is a little easier. Can you see this? Can you see this now, Josh?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so earlier in the day or yesterday, it started with the whole big, beautiful bill. And Trump puts this out there. Everyone needs to pass it. And then he basically talks smack about Rand Paul coming out. And I'm sure Thomas Massey probably came out as well. And Trump is verbally attacking him. And, you know, that's okay for the MAGA crowd until Musk comes out and says, basically, I can't bite my tongue anymore. This bill is an abomination. And then he really goes nuts and starts saying that, or really just kind of derails, really starts ranting and goes on saying how every single person with good conscience, every single political person, you know, politician, needs to vote this bill down. This needs to never, ever pass. And then he starts putting out these memes talking about kill the bill. Remember the movie Kill Bill? It's kill the bill, right? And so it just keeps going and then Trump responds by saying that, you know, Elon Musk has gone crazy. And now maybe we should take away all of the contracts, the political contracts that we have. And then Elon just keeps escalating and escalating and escalating. So here we go. And now we're at the point right now, I didn't even know this, that the Democrats, well, this is, everyone's attacking Musk now. They're accusing him of doing drugs and they're investigating alleged drug use. I'm sure Trump is going to piggyback on this. You know, it's going to get to the point, or it could, where the MAGA crowd is lighting Teslas on fire and the Democrats are lighting Teslas. Everybody's lighting Teslas on fire. I wonder what Zero Hedge is going to do then, because they were so hard on the people that were lighting them on fire, as they should have been. But when the MAGA people start lighting them on fire, I wonder how they're going to spin that. Anyway, here we go. X piloting new program. Okay, yeah, fine. Musk floats a new party. So a new political party. And then on his Twitter feed, Musk was talking, I think he did a poll as to who people thought would win an election, him or Trump. And then people are saying Musk, and he's like, yeah, I'd win easily. You know, he's basically, I'm paraphrasing here, but this is what's happening on social media with their feeds. And it's not just in the mainstream media. So it's not that the mainstream media is spinning this at all. Just go to their feeds and you're going to see exactly what's going on. So here's where Trump threatens to cancel Musk's government contracts. Then Musk says, fires back at Trump, saying, without me, Trump would have lost the election. That's pretty severe. And then more recently, now, Josh, can you go to Elon Musk's Twitter feed? Because as soon as go to Musk's Twitter feed. So let's see, he's got the polls at time to start a new party. I keep scrolling down. In 1992, Trump partied with Epstein. I'm just going to leave this here. And Elon Musk has got what's going on here? Keep going down. The Trump tariffs will now he's going after the tariffs. I haven't even seen this one. Wow. Okay. Because boy, oh boy, the tariffs are kind of the sacred cow for MAGA. You can't talk anything bad about the tariffs. In fact, I think that the MAGA types would prefer you accuse Trump of being in the Epstein files as opposed to talking smack about the tariffs. I don't know. Who knows? I'm just spitballing it. But this is really getting serious once you start talking about the tariffs. And what did he say specifically? The Trump tariffs will cause a recession in the second half of this year. Can I finally say Trump tariffs are super stupid? Okay, keep scrolling down. Okay, keep scrolling down.
And Bill goes, well, Mike talked to Mike.
Okay, and then okay. Oh, now this is where he's posting more stuff about Epstein. I haven't even seen this, and he being Musk. Keep going down, Josh. President versus Elon. Who wins? My money is on Elon. Trump should be impeached, and J.D. Vance should replace him. Elon Musk responds, yes. Oh, geez. Now keep going, because Musk fires back at Trump. In light of right there. In light of President's statement about cancellation of my government contracts, SpaceX will begin decommissioning its Dragon spacecraft immediately. So they are attacking each other on all fronts. They're attacking each other as far as the leverage they have. Donald Trump with the government purse strings, and Elon with the leverage that he has over the governments based on the goods and services he's providing. They're attacking each other politically, and they're attacking each other personally as well.
Do you think liberals are going to go back to loving Musk like they used to from the green energy now that he hates Trump?
That's a good question. I mean, it'll be fascinating to see how this plays out from a psychological standpoint, because there were so many in the MAGA camp where Trump and Musk could just do no wrong. I mean, but both of them just walk on water, and anything they did, you had kind of this mental gymnastics as to justifying it or rationalizing why this was the best thing to do. And I'm not saying everyone was like that, but you guys know what I'm talking. Just looking at this objectively, there are a lot of people that follow Trump and Musk that are like that. Both of them are kind of these cult of personalities. And so when the two now clash, it's like, what happens? Does do we get to the point where there's two different factions of MAGA? One is Musk and one is the Trump version, and then they hate each other. I have no idea how this plays out. But the bottom line is it's definitely going to, if this continues, it's definitely going to have an impact on the economy and especially on these negotiations with the tariffs. I mean, look, if I'm Xi Jinping, put yourself in his position and you see this coming across the news, I mean, you've got to be laughing. You've got to be just saying to yourself, this is a joke. I mean, I'm just dealing with infants here. There's no adults that I'm negotiating with. And I'm not saying that that's correct, but if you're Xi Jinping, isn't that going through your mind? I mean, this is bread and circuses. No kidding. This is late stage empire right here, for sure. But now let's think about this in terms of the uncertainty. And I hate to use that word because it's getting so played out, but it's true that the markets and the economy, they like stability. They like knowing what the rules are going to be in 6 months. And I'm not saying that, changing the rules all the time or kind of this haphazard approach isn't good for the United States long term as far as negotiating deals. Maybe it is. And maybe you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. But the bottom line is in the short term, it causes severe disruptions. So, and that's just what's going on as far as the trade negotiations. Now that you've got this infighting, to say the least, I mean, it's not like Elon is just saying, oh, I don't like the big, beautiful bill. It's not like he's coming out and just saying, I love Trump, but I don't really like this bill, and I probably wouldn't vote for it. And then Trump comes back and says, well, Elon and I are still buddies, but we can agree to disagree on this. That's not what's happening here. I mean, they are really going at each other like you would expect, like sworn enemies to do. It's just incredible how they can go from zero, how they can go from bro BFFs to just going at each other's throat within the matter of 48 hours. So then you've got to ask, okay, what does this do for the economy? I mean, I was listening to a podcast with my good buddy Adam Taggart today, where he was interviewing the gal that's in charge of the University of Michigan survey. And she was talking about consumer sentiment. I mean, we've all followed that, right? But it heavily skews Democrat as far as they see things much more negatively. Although more recently, Republicans have started to see the economy and the employment picture negatively as well, but just not as severely negative as the Democrats. And so they were talking about, how everyone is pulling back right now. Corporations are pulling back. The consumer is pulling back because of this lack of stability where they just don't know what's going to happen next. And I don't know how this wouldn't add to it. I mean, think about it. If you're a business owner and you're, in the MAGA camp, what you're looking at this, and are you sitting there saying to yourself, oh, wow, this makes me feel great about the potential of the economy. I'm going to go out there and hire a bunch of workers today. No, because everything that you base your worldview on, I'm being a little dramatic here, but I'm just to kind of illustrate the point. Your worldview right now and who you believe to be the good guys, I mean, that's crumbling right now. And you've got to take a position here as to, okay, now who's the good guy? Because I thought both these guys were good guys, but now they can't both be good guys because now they're going after each other and saying that this guy's a bad guy and that guy's a bad guy. So who am I going to choose? And if I choose one of them, then does that mean that my worldview that I've had over the last few months was completely incorrect? And if it was, then how do I reconcile that? And I don't think you reconcile that by going out and spending a lot of money or doing a lot of R&D, or expanding your business, or if you're a consumer making that big purchase that you may have been considering. I think you just step back and you're like, whoa, time out here. I've got to reevaluate, and I've got to get back on solid footing here before I decide what to do next. And to Josh's point, what are the Democrats doing right now? They've got to be loving this. They've got to be, if I was the Democrats, I'd just sit back and shut up. I'd sit back, shut up, and let the games begin. Wow. Now let's get into some hard data, because we talked about kind of the Jerry Springer show, if you will, within MAGA. And we talked about how this could impact psychology. Definitely doesn't add to the stability. That's for sure. And man, can you imagine if they release the Epstein files and Trump is in there? I mean, geez, then what do you do if you're a big supporter of Trump? I mean, a lot of people are just going to rationalize it and say, oh, that's nonsense. It's just, it's Photoshop, or it's just AI, or Trump would never do that. But a good portion of the MAGA crew will kind of have that epiphany moment. I think very similar to a lot of the Democrats during the cerveza sickness, where they tried to mandate, or they tried to push the medicine, let's say, on small children. And that was kind of the line in the sand for even a lot of the Democrats. So they said, no. This is where I completely go the other direction. This is kind of the eye-opening moment where the party that I've been a part of for so long no longer represents my values. And so again, I'm not saying that Trump is on there. I'm just saying, what if? Let's fast forward 2 or 3 months. What if it comes out? And then you can imagine a lot of the MAGA group having that moment, if you will, like a lot of the Democrats did during the cerveza sickness. And what does that do to the Republican Party? What does that do going into midterms? See, there's a lot of these questions that we really need to ask. This isn't just Jerry Springer. It goes much deeper than that, I think. But now let's get over to some of the data that's coming out around this, we'll call it, situation. So, Josh, let's see, we got the screen share going. Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay. And by the way, due to this little spat right here, Tesla loses 152 billion in market cap today, just because of that Twitter back and forth between him and Trump. Jeez. Oh my goodness gracious. This is a lesson for investors. I mean, be very, very careful if you're buying these high-flying stocks where the fundamentals really don't justify the price, because something like this can come out and they can just plummet in an instant. But headline here, corporate layoffs have ramped up in recent weeks. Here are the companies making the cuts. And before we go into that, I want to go over to this Market Watch calendar that we've been really paying close attention to lately, because as you guys know, I'm really focused on the labor market. And right here, we had initial jobless claims. The expectation was for 236,000. We're at 247. And if you guys didn't watch the video yesterday, it was how ADP payrolls came in at 37,000 with an expectation of 110. Huge miss. And the month prior, it was downwardly revised to 60,000. So tomorrow is a big, big day, because we get the non-farm payrolls. We had a 177. We see the trend starting to go down very quickly. And the expectations for 125, we'll have to see. I mean, does it exceed? Does it miss? What happens to the unemployment rate? I mean, if it goes up to, let's say, 200,000, and we see the unemployment rate start to tick up again, I mean, that in and of itself doesn't mean that we're in a recession. It doesn't necessarily mean that the economy is contracting, but it means that the probabilities are definitely increasing. And then you've got to ask yourself, how much of what we're seeing, or how much of what we're seeing in the economy, is a reflection of this uncertainty, regardless of where the uncertainty or the instability is actually coming from, whether it's coming from Trump trying to negotiate with Xi Jinping, or from Elon Musk's Twitter feed and the Epstein files. But getting back to CNBC corporate layoffs, let's check this out. Key talking points: companies are under increasing pressure to trim costs against the backdrop of global economic uncertainty. Okay, we know that. Many companies lumped layoffs in with larger cost-cutting strategies. And here we go. I was just going to say AI. I was just going to say, I wonder how much of this is attributed to AI. And the very next sentence is, some have cited AI as a factor in headcount adjustments. So you guys know that I've been pounding the table on this for the last probably couple months, that I believe in the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to get UBI, because I believe the unemployment rate, let's set aside an economic contraction. Let's just go ahead and shelf a potential recession. I think even without that, the economy just staying as it is right now, you're going to see the unemployment rate go 6-7%, maybe even higher. And that's even if we don't go into a recession as a result of these companies just firing people due to AI. Is it at the point where AI can replace everyone and do? No, absolutely not. But as far as like entry-level white-collar jobs or entry-level service stuff where you're just interacting with a computer, or, a lot of these virtual jobs where you don't really have to go into the office, where you're just kind of working from home, or wherever, from Medellin, Colombia. I think those are the first jobs to go, especially the entry level. And I don't think that's an outrageous statement. If you just think it through, that's just the reality of the situation that we're going to have to grapple with. And I think long term, this is going to be a huge benefit for humanity, the society, the economy. But in the interim, you go through a lot of chaos getting from A to Z. And anyway, bottom line, I think that due to AI, you're going to see the unemployment rate go up to a point where they're not only just going to consider UBI, I think they're going to implement it. Even Trump. Companies including Walmart, Amazon, Microsoft, Procter & Gamble have announced job cuts in recent weeks. So this happens at the time, they point out, when Musk was cutting government jobs. Good on him for doing it. But regardless, in the short run, that definitely impacts aggregate demand, even if it's a government job. So Procter & Gamble, let's see what they said. This was on Thursday. It'll cut 7,000 jobs. Wow. Okay. I did not know that. 7,000 jobs, or 15% of its non-manufacturing workforce over the next 2 years as part of a restructuring. And I can almost guarantee you that restructuring includes leveraging AI. Microsoft said last month it would reduce by about 6,000. I wonder if they're going to point out IBM. Remember, we did a video on that where IBM is cutting 8,000 jobs, and that they directly cited AI in their statement. Citigroup laying off 3,500. That's in China. Okay. Walmart planning to slash 1,500 jobs. Klarna, I'm not sure what they do. Klarna told employees last month that the Swedish buy now pay, it's buy now pay later. That's right. That this is ironic, isn't it? That now the buy now pay later companies are even laying off their workforce. Geez, what does that tell you about the economy? I mean, we go from, these buy now pay laters just blowing up. They're doing so well because they're so needed. And then you get to the point where the people can't even buy things on buy now pay later. And then the Klarnas of the world have to start laying people off. They said they're going to slash 10% of their global workforce. Listen to this. This week before that announcement, he told, I'm assuming this was the CEO, he told CNBC that Klarna has shrunk its workforce by about 40% due to investments in AI and natural attrition. Almost every single business owner that I talk to has this game plan, that they're not outright firing people, but if someone quits, they're just not hiring a person to replace them. And they're just doing everything that they can to replace them with AI or with just other people doing their job, leveraging AI within the organization. So CrowdStrike announced plans to cut 500 employees, about 5% of its staff. We're operating in a market and technology inflection point with AI reshaping industry. So another one that's directly citing AI. Layoffs at Disney. Doesn't seem like it's too huge. Chegg, online education firm, would lay off 248, about 22% of its workforce. The cuts came as AI-powered tools like OpenAI and ChatGPT take over education. Yeah, so it's not just the fact that AI is taking over jobs, but AI is just eliminating the need for a lot of these huge businesses. I mean, it's just like language, right? If you had to learn a language right now, like Spanish, would you just use AI? You just build an AI instructor to do it. Why on earth would you pay a private tutor, a coach, or why would you pay for, some sort of $200 membership program or something? I mean, just have AI do it for free. Amazon has laid off roughly 27,000 employees. Okay, that's significant. But and then right here, just before we went live, I saw this. Lululemon shares tumble 20% as it cuts full year guidance, citing dynamic macro environment. In other words, instability. And when the leader of the free world, if you will, and Donald Trump is basically involved in a real life Jerry Springer show with Elon Musk, I don't think it's going to give them even more confidence. Regardless of whether you side with Musk or Trump on this one, the bottom line is this can't be good if you're in corporate America trying to make decisions right now. And here's, this is kind of old news now, but it's Trump saying that Musk went crazy and suggesting cutting government contracts for his companies. And, this is where I say that I voted for Trump. You guys know that because I was all about the free speech component of his campaign. And I was kind of a one issue voter, if you will. But I mean, you got to admit, Trump has that authoritarian bent to him that if you piss him off, he's going to come after you. Whether that's good or bad, I'll let you be the judge. But this is par for the course here. Exactly what you would expect from Trump. It's just when you're dealing with Musk, he's like the same thing. They're like two peas in a pod. They're both fantastic salespeople. Maybe the best we've ever seen. They're both incredibly good at social media. They're incredibly good at trolling. So it's like this immovable object with the unstoppable force, but they're very similar. A lot of their personality, there's like a 90% overlap there in their kind of their MO and how they handle problems. And they go right after someone, the personal attacks, everything. So I don't see this de-escalating unless, Probably what's happening behind the scenes here is Tucker Carlson or someone like that is probably calling both of them and just trying to get a meeting together and saying, guys, this is terrible for the movement. This is terrible for what we're trying to do. And I'm sure that, maybe in the next couple of weeks, Tucker Carlson has them both on his show to do like a big kumbaya or something like that. But I guarantee you a day later, they'd be right back at it. Geez, you just can't make this stuff up. You just can't make it up. So let's see how markets are. That's weird. Huh. I've never seen that from CNBC. What the heck is going on? Are we?
I can see it. It's just weird.
Huh. I thought we lost internet there for a second. What? Okay, here we go. Here we go. Must have been just a glitch on their website or something like that. So markets are down a little bit. Bonds are up, but I think the majority of the Jerry Springer stuff happened after the market closed. Now, what you'll find interesting is if we look at the action on the 10-year Treasury just today, and once again, this proves exactly what I say on this channel, that it's just all about growth and inflation expectations. It's all about that. It has nothing to do with deficits or debts. I'm not saying that the deficits and the debts are good, but it's not a problem for the bond market. It's not a problem for the Treasury market. It's a problem for the real economy because that government spending distorts the market. It distorts the economy. It makes it less efficient, which means the standard of living for everyone goes down. But you're not going to have a problem. You're not going to have interest rates blow out if the economy is slowing down, like a lot of the market commentators assume will happen. But let's get to my point here. Right here, this is just before, let's see, is this Eastern time? I'm assuming this is Eastern time. I don't know if it adjusts to your time locally because I know I'm an hour behind. But right about when the initial claims came out, you saw the yields really go down. I think it was right in here. You see it go down on the 10-year Treasury, which would make sense because growth inflation expectations are declining. We got the big news yesterday with ADP. This is kind of backing it up. So in advance of the non-farm payrolls tomorrow, they're kind of leaning on the side of expectations declining. Therefore, you see the price action in the bond market. Then just a few minutes or an hour later, it skyrockets up. You're like, what on earth is going on here? It's like this bipolar Treasury market. And what happened here is Trump came out and announced that he had just talked to Xi Jinping for like 90 minutes, and they had a very productive phone call. So what the market takes that to mean is that there's a good chance that they'll come to some sort of negotiation. And what does that mean? Well, that means growth. That means growth expectations increase. So boom, you see the 10-year Treasury yield really spike. I mean, it's still below 4.4. But just the intraday action, you can see how the volatility is created in this bipolar market is created by 1 minute inflation and growth expectations decline. The next minute it's up. It's just all headline driven, but none of it is driven by headlines regarding the deficits or the debt. It's almost always regarding what's happening with or what could be happening with the underlying economy. Again, rates don't control the economy. They just simply are a reflection of what is happening in the overall economy. So this is something we're going to have to watch closely. We could see some Twitter fireworks tonight as well. And if you're watching these Twitter fireworks, I would, after you get done just laughing or crying, whichever one you choose, it's so pathetic. You've got to sit back and ask yourself, how does this impact the consumer? How does this impact spending? How does this impact the willingness to take risk in not just the domestic economy, but the global economy? And then what does this do for the leverage Trump has for negotiating with other countries when, pardon my French, but all these other countries are just watching this shit show and saying, you know, we're just dealing with infants here. We're not even dealing with adults. Does that give him less ability to negotiate? I mean, these are all questions I think we should be asking right now. All right, guys, on that bombshell, enjoy the rest of your afternoon. It could be a very spicy weekend, to say the least. And definitely stay tuned for tomorrow, because we've got the non-farm payrolls come out, and that could have huge economic implications along with everything else that's going on. So guys, make sure you're standing up for freedom, liberty, free market capitalism, and I will see you on the next video.